So over the last 10 years or so, we've had several Star Wars games keeping the IP alive across a bunch of different genres. Whether you were really big on the multiplayer Battlefront games making a revival in 2015 and 2017, or you were big on the Souls-like campaigns of Cal Kestis' adventures in Jedi Fallen Order and Jedi Survivor, we kind of had a little bit of everything. But we don't speak about that one game. But for 2024, we have Star Wars Outlaws by Ubisoft, their first ever Star Wars game. And to be honest with you, with Ubisoft, I've kind of been more on the Assassin's Creed and Far Cry side of the fence, so I'm really looking forward to seeing how things play out with this IP now that it's in their hands for a game. I had a chance to play Star Wars Outlaws early, just about 4 hours or so with the game, so I have a few thoughts of my own on my time with it. But first, a big thank you to Ubisoft for inviting me out to come see the game and have a chance to ask some questions about it as well. If you've been out of the loop, the game was announced back in 2023 with a preview of what looked like a Han Solo-esque smuggler / outlaw story-based game, and fast forward to 2024, and that's more or less what we have here. But the question is, with all games, how does it play, right? All the footage you see here today in the video is going to be unique footage captured during my specific gameplay on PC, played with on an Xbox controller, so no console rendering on the PS5 or Xbox side of the house.
I'm sorry. I thought you were one of them.
Huh? Lots of new friends today.
To start with, I played across 2 different planets as the duo from the main trailers, Kay Vess and her companion Nix, between the cinematic events of The Empire Strikes Back and The Return of the Jedi. The majority of my time was spent in the first world, Tashara, a fairly lush planet vegetation-wise at least, with some outposts and some areas of interest to check out once you're set loose on the planet to do what you want. And to be honest with you, the game is a bit of a looker, and that's a heavy emphasis on a bit. I mean, don't get me wrong, being that this is gameplay on a PC does mean that there's the added benefit of having a powerful GPU to give you all the eye candy possible. For example, we had ray tracing on the second planet that was turned on, but by no means does the game look in general bad itself. The foliage, the water textures, it all gives a pretty good aesthetic for the game when you're out and about running around in the open world. Taking a look at the scenery as Kay is riding on the speeder, you notice here and there the gradual texture pop in, but I wouldn't say that it ruins the experience. Not very noticeable unless you're really looking for it. The one thing that definitely had me wondering what was going on though was looking at Kay's hair. I'm not quite versed in the process of making character assets in game development, but there's just something a little bit off about her hair in the way it appears and the way it moves in game. And since you presumably spend the entire game as Kay, this is a bit of an interesting thing not to really nail in the game as somebody who's going to be watching her for the entirety of the run. But when it comes to the gameplay, it's pretty straightforward what Ubisoft has for players to get into. It's your basic open world setup with some quests and some points of interest to check out. Definitely Star Wars themed, so if you're familiar with the IP already, you won't really be blindsided by most of the concepts in the game, like choosing your mission, checking out what the open world has to offer, so on and so forth. Being an open world environment, Outlaws carries a bit of a Grand Theft Auto style system called the Wanted system that lets you know when the authorities or a certain syndicate is hunting you down, presumably because you've been caught in a place you shouldn't have been, or if you're like me, you assaulted a faction head on. But there are a few reasons in general this could occur, just to be clear. It doesn't seem like it has levels to it, because I wasn't able to achieve a level 3 wanted level or anything like that, so it definitely seems to serve a type of you've alerted someone mechanic, which seems to exist in the open world as well as part of missions that take you to different locations.
We're good now.
With missions, you get the option to go either guns blazing or try to approach things stealthily to make your life easier. The thing with stealth though is that even though it's an option and there's an incentive to get through the mission quietly, the stealth maneuvering itself definitely feels a bit stiff. Like Kay has a bigger hitbox for her character asset than you would believe. I found myself bumping into a lot of walls, ledges, getting too close to boxes, which would inevitably cause Kay to auto jump or auto scale the boxes, turning my stealth attempt into a full guns blazing mission run a few times. And don't get me wrong, I'm not opposed to it, but that wasn't what I was going for. Even if you trigger the alarms for a mission, if you hide long enough, the enemies will eventually lose you and everything, but while I did the missions, I definitely felt like it wasn't as worth it to go stealthily every time. When stealth is working correctly for you, the real star of the show is Nix, your friendly companion. You can decide where you want Nyx to distract enemies to help angle your pathway through an environment, or even set Nyx off to attack the enemies themselves in a pinch. It doesn't quite feel like the developers intended for an entire level to be maneuverable without Nyx, so players will definitely find a reason to use him, if not at least to see the different type of ways they can get around the level itself. And of course, when it comes to going loud on missions, my favorite approach, we're basically asking the questions around firing weapons and the intended combat style for the game that the devs had in mind. You gotta keep in mind, Kay isn't a Jedi, she isn't a Sith, and she's not even Han Solo at that. She's an outlaw, and not a soldier, and it really shows in the gunplay. I had all the combat difficulties on regular as far as enemy health, player health, and the wanted difficulty, and it's not a simple task to just run around firing off at enemies and expecting to win the fight without resistance. The enemy includes stormtroopers, but they definitely don't shoot you like stormtroopers from the movie, you know what I mean? You definitely want to play the fight situations more like a Gears of War or like a Mass Effect kind of situation. But when you do pop out and use cover to take shots, the shooting definitely feels good. You have several weapon options to choose from when you're in the mix, and even picking up enemy weapons gets you some interesting blaster options to get through fights.
Gorek's favorite spotchka recipes. Did I pass your client's test?
Why don't you ask her yourself? Meet Valera of Crimson Dawn.
You the one I was talking to before?
You pulled it off. Guess I shouldn't be surprised. I heard you stole something much bigger than this. A ship. Someone's favorite ship. Someone important.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
With a game like this, usually how well received the game is going to be lies a lot in the strength of the story it's trying to tell. And frankly, it's a pretty good story. In my transition to the second planet, a snowy world called Kijimi, Kay herself seemed like a pretty stereotypical archetype of I did a thing, now I have to escape the ramifications of that thing. But those kinds of stories use that to really springboard into a lot of other mini adventures along the way, which can be very much a fun time in and of itself. On the official website, she's described as a young thief from Kanto Bight looking for a big score to set herself up for life. A bit Han Solo-esque if you ask me, but definitely provides a lot of room to work with as far as what she gets into adventure-wise. Baked into the story, Kay's personality is a type that's decent enough to carry through the game, but I do wonder sometimes what kind of room for development she has when you get later into the game. During the missions I played, she had a dry humor to her with a scrappy get-what-I-can attitude, which, while it fits the outlaw or smuggler role well enough, I couldn't quite see the big opportunity for character development. But again, with a limited portion of the game and not that much time to play it for, it's hard to conclude anything decisively about the rest of the game's run-through. Other than that, characters you meet in the world have solid voice acting, and the majority of the character roles, whether it's the stormtrooper checking your ID or the Imperial taking bribes, they really hit the mark on showing you the different stories and different angles that the events of this pocket of time can tell you in the cinematic universe. If you've made it this far in the video, first of all, thank you for watching, and second, go ahead and comment what an outlaw so that I know you watched the full video, and I will like your comment to let you know that I saw it. Other than that, what do you think? Is this a day one buy? Is this a when it comes to Game Pass or PS Plus kind of game? Let me know in the comments what you're excited to play in the game, or what could change your mind about picking up the game if you aren't planning on getting it right now. The game comes out on August 30th, 2024 on all the usual suspects, and if you enjoyed the video, you already know what buttons to hit to let me know. Go ahead and subscribe if you want to stay tuned for more first impression videos, but until then, be blessed, never stressed, packing, never lacking, good, never hood, about it, and never without it, and I will catch you in the next video. The cherry's gone. Peace.
On it! We lost Needles! Oh, come on now!
Try again, Kay. Taking damage.
We can't hide now, Nick. Do what you're paid for. Go put on a show, buddy. Okay, Mix. They won't quit. George head, you hear me? Show's over. Show no mercy. Whoa! Just you and me now. Oh, a key card. Should open a door here somewhere. No good. Need to shut down security first.
That's life.
That's life.
That's what all the people say.